Hello, everybody. Accureye here, and yeah, you kind of caught me in a bit of a start of a game when I was doing this video, and I was going to start from the normal menu, but I ended up just kind of jumping right into the game and forgetting to hit the record button. So, yeah, it's been a few days since I uploaded the April Fool's joke for those of you who were around during that whole April Fool's joke. I also do apologize that when I was recording this, I had some of my stream layout still on. Yeah. Anyway, don't worry about the stream layout. That was just one of my community goals, and also some the tip jar from when I do stream. And sometimes I know I forget to disable it when I'm recording for videos and whatnot. But anyway, going into this game, yeah, I wanted to talk about the actual changes I would like to see, and things that I think would be interesting to have into Apex Legends, as overall Apex Legends is kind of boring. I mean, well, it's not really completely boring to me. It's just kind of getting to the point where I've done everything and there's no real point of me playing the game anymore. So, I mean, I would like to talk about some of the changes I would like to see overall for the game, and maybe just to hopefully improve it overall, because let's face it, in the end of the day, Apex Legends is just not it's not sustaining its thunder that it's had. Apex Legends started with an absolute blast of thunder that pretty much gave Fortnite something to run about, but now it's like we're at a point where it feels like Apex Legends is now more built around, just not doing much in general for, what it is. It's just trying to sustain its player base, sustain interest, but I feel that there are changes that need to be made. First and foremost, let's talk about at least the character changes that I would like to see, because I think it's more important that we get my concerns about character changes out of the way over any other changes, because, I mean, obviously there are other concerns and changes that I would like to see, but I think I'll put those into separate videos. So let's talk about character changes and things that might make the overall game a little more interesting when it comes to characters. First and foremost, Gibraltar, and many of you had heard about the changes I would like to see from my April Fool's video. Those were actually no joke. I would love to see some changes when it came down to the overall look of Gibraltar and what he can do, because at the end of the day, let's face it, I think Gibraltar is probably one of the least used characters. He's one of those characters that, to me, would be absolutely much better with a smaller hitbox. Personally, I think that if Gibraltar has smaller hitbox, he would be much, much better than he would be trying to run with the large hitbox that he has. And again, that's not a joke in my point of view from the April Fool's video. Like, the April Fool's video, that was actually a real change that I would like to see, is Gibraltar getting a smaller hitbox, should I say. In fact, most tanks could use a smaller hitbox in general. Now, as far as other changes for Gibraltar, I mean, change his shield around. Please change his shield around. Again, the April Fool's joke was no joke when I said that I wanted to see the change in his shield. For instance, it being a shield that can shoot, that you and your allies can shoot in or shoot out from the inside, but also the fact that, if your enemies run in there and you run out of the shield, your enemies can't shoot out of the shield. I mean, it makes sense that your enemies can't shoot out of the shield if they're in your shield. But, I mean, make it to where your allies and you can shoot out of the shield, because otherwise Gibraltar's shield is pretty much useless. It's pretty much just not good. It's worthless in a way. So, yeah. And that's one change that I would like to see. Again, the airstrike, it's fine as it is. Maybe have a little bit of a bigger radius, but other than that, I mean, let's face it. The overall airstrike is not that bad. Changes for Caustic. One of the main changes I could see with him is maybe make his noxic gas a little bit better. AKA maybe having it to where it's a little bit of a bigger, fume. It's a little bit of a bigger, it takes a little bit more range. But other than that, I don't know. Obviously, Caustic, I think, is a little more viable than Gibraltar. He doesn't have as much problems as Gibraltar does, but, there are still some things that, to me, would be, a good thing. Like, for instance, I understand how the gas traps are meant to be, meant to be a big old trap of gas, but, one thing I think with Gibraltar would be nice is make his gas traps a little less obvious. Make it to where, your enemies may not actually see it unless they're absolutely observant. Because a big old balloon that is a gas trap, come on, it's obvious. Most people will shoot through it in no time, or will just shoot at it when they see it. Which makes Caustic pretty useless when it comes to his gas traps and his noxious fumes. Unless, of course, you got someone who's just plain dumb and doesn't realize it's a gas trap. Bangalore, like I may have said on the April Fool's Deal, make it to where her and her allies can see through the smoke grenade over actually, both you and your allies getting lost in the smoke. It doesn't make sense to me to have the smoke grenade make it to where not only are you blind, but so are the enemies. If the enemies were blind to a smoke grenade and your allies could see through it, then yeah, it would make sense. But because it doesn't really make sense at the moment, and because of course it's like one of those things where I feel that, honestly, you are, pretty much questioning, where are the enemies? Where did they go? And you can't see through them. Bangalore could use a smoke grenade where her and her allies could see through the smoke and see where the enemies are. But of course, the enemies, of course, can't. And that goes the same, I think, with Caustic's noxious fumes, is that it should make it to where it's harder to escape out of noxious fumes, and it's also harder to of course, see, see what's going on, see the, to see through it, but of course with your partners or your allies, in a sense, your allies can easily see through the noxious fumes with no problem. They have no issues with the noxious fumes. They can see through it. They can walk through it with no problems. And that's something that I think could be changed up for Respawn's point of view. And yeah, with that being said, that's pretty much mainly the changes that I would like to see. At least with some of the main characters. Rave, she's good as she stands. I don't think Rave needs that many changes. Maybe make her, her phase a little bit longer. Make it a little harder to track her, make it a little bit harder to track her, her overall, her overall where she's going, I guess, when she phases. The teleport, I think it could use a little bit of a change. For instance, one thing I think could be done with the change on the teleport is for instance, like trying to make it to where she, to where if an enemy goes through the teleport, they get hurt. It would make it a little more to the point of like, oh, I don't want to go through that teleport. I don't want to risk getting hurt. Now, it doesn't have to be like it's going to damage you completely, but I feel like if you go for a Wraith teleport and it's an enemy one, it should hurt you just a little bit. Just a little bit, because let's face it, one, you don't know where the teleport's going. Two, it doesn't seem like it should be used by by your enemies. I mean, your enemies should have a little bit of a, like, oh gosh, you don't want to go through there because you're going to get hurt if you're not an ally. Like, added a little bit of a, I guess you could say, a damage property to Rafe's teleport. But those are my main concerns and my main small things about Rafe. In general, is that she could use some of those little changes. I think that they would be worthwhile because, let's face it, at the end of the day, with those small changes, Rafe could be a little bit more viable for some people. It may not be a main choice for people, but I mean, overall, it would be a much better overall choice compared to, people who are just trying to, use Rafe to get away, or to use Rafe as a escape dummy. Now, or as an escape plan. Now, when it comes down to someone like, for instance, Octane, who's the newest released character, one of the main issues I have with Octane is the fact that Octane is just not good. He doesn't have anything that really makes him viable, in my opinion. His speed boost is nice, his passive heal is nice, but, I mean, overall, I think Octane could use something like a stim pack. Could use something like a, that makes him just a little bit more powerful. Now, I mean, obviously, Octane, I think, is, still brand new to the party. He's still new. He's still kind of like, everyone's still trying to figure him out to a degree, I guess. But, to me, it feels like his speed boost is kind of worthless. It's kind of at a point where, where it's just for speed. It doesn't, like, have any properties that make him, worth using. Like if his speed boost also came with a little bit of a slowdown effect, or made it to where, everything for him was going a lot slower, and everyone around him who saw him going super fast would be going a lot slower, I think it would be worthwhile. I think it would make sense because, let's face it, Octane's supposed to have super speed. He's supposed to, when he stims himself up, have like a super speed effect. Like, he's going way, way faster than anyone can calculate or keep track of. And I think that to some degree, that's something that he should capitalize on. Same with like his ultimate. Like the jump pad, it doesn't make sense. To me, the jump pad doesn't make sense. I mean, I get that it's supposed to be for mobility, and, and with that being said, I mean, it's going to be built around mobility, but like I've said before, it doesn't really make sense to have him be all about mobility and not have anything that makes him offensively powerful. I mean, again, that's just how I feel about the, about overall, Octane in general. Now, does that mean that Octane is bad? Absolutely not. But he leaves a lot to be desired. He leaves a lot to want, and with that being said, it's much more difficult for me to make him feel like, to me, I would use him more because, let's face it, he's not very usable to me. If he had like a stim pack, like his ultimate was like a stim pack that not only boosted his abilities and his power, but it also made it to where everything around him was slowed down and he could just kind of be your basic pick-off character, then yeah, it would make sense. I think it would make total sense to have Octane be, kind of a main staple of everyone's choice. But because Octane doesn't have that, there's really not much of a reason or even much of a point of why Octane would be, used, But, I mean, with that being said, it is what it is. So, yeah. But those are my changes and concerns with many of the characters. Bloodhound, he's obviously fine the way he is. Maybe make his tracking a little bit larger radius, but overall, he's fine the way he is. Pathfinder, he's pretty much okay the way he is. I just kind of wish that he had more offensive abilities and not so much mobility. And one of my main concerns is the mobility base of many of these characters. Like, many of these characters don't have a whole lot of offensive. And they feel very defensive. They feel very tight. They feel very much like like you're bound to having to use mobility as your main style. And maybe this is just Respawn's way of saying, hey, mobility is the way to go. But, you know, my main concerns is that there's not enough offensive abilities, nor is there enough offensive capability in each character to really make them worthwhile. But yeah, that's just my concerns. Those are my thoughts. Those are that's my point of view on overall on the game. So with that being said, I mean, hopefully these changes get taken to heart by Respawn. Hopefully, maybe they can regain some of their thunder. But for now, at least for me, it just feels like I've done everything. It feels like there's not enough new characters to release to keep me interested. And of course, there's not enough new maps for me to release. But I'll come to those concerns and stuff later on, and maybe in the future. But with that being said, thank you everybody for joining me today on this video. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for being here. If you like this video, you know what to do. Hit the like button, get subscribed, hit the bell notification because I know you want to know when my next video drops next. Thank you everybody for joining me today on this video. Thank you for watching this video. And until the next one, everybody, this is Accureye signing out and saying, oh yeah. I'm also live on Twitch at www.twitch.tv/Accureye. I'm live on Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday for about 4 to 5 hours. But lately I've been live on Monday and Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Sometimes I'm live on Sunday, sometimes I'm live on Friday. If I'm live on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Friday or Sunday, I'll be live for about maybe 2 to 3 hours, give or take. Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday, I'm live for about 4 to 5 hours. But with that being said, thank you everybody for joining me today on this video. Thank you for watching this video. And yeah, until the next one, everybody, this is Accureye signing out and saying farewell, everyone.